So in the original Packcast League, I got beat 155-94. And the NFL comes up with their own little headlines of you being defeated. And it said this past week I got throat punched in defeat. So yeah, this season's going real well for me. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and we are back with another episode of Fantasy Studs and Duds, this time for Week 6 in the NFL. And as I mentioned in the intro, yes, I split this week in the Packcast Patreon leagues, losing 155-94 because of Christian McCaffrey, so I'm currently in 5th place in that league, and I won in the other one 152-73, which I'm currently in 3rd place. I think I'm in 8th place in one of my other ones, and then the other one I'm in 3rd place. So, okay, we're doing all right. Listen, there's plenty of season left, but, drafting some people was a big mistake. So, let's just move on from that. So, if you're brand new to Studs and Duds, what we do is I'll give you 3 studs to start this week. I'll give you a sleeper and 3 duds that you should probably avoid starting if you can. So starting off with our studs, this guy, I drafted him in every single league. He has been on this list before, and that is Ravens running back Mark Ingram. He has been solid all season, putting up pretty damn good numbers, especially in PPR, and he's going against the Bengals. Now, it's turned out that Ravens games have turned into shootouts because their defense is definitely not as good as originally anticipated. But Mark Ingram is getting a bunch of carries and a bunch of production. And I think against the Bengals, which can't win a game to save their life, I think he's a pretty safe bet to start this week. So if you got Mark Ingram, you go right ahead and you start his son of a gun. All right, then moving on to a Joe Flacco wide receiver, which is something I never thought I would say, and that is Courtland Sutton, the Broncos wide receiver. He's been doing pretty damn well. Ever since the Green Bay game, he's been putting up pretty damn big numbers. He's getting at least 4 receptions, and those receptions usually are breaking off for touchdowns or a significant amount of yardage. Now, the Titans' defense is currently 10th in pass defense, but this is obviously Joe Flacco's favorite target. I was toying with putting Phillip Lindsay here because the Titans' run defense isn't as good, but I think they'll be going to Sutton again, and especially if you have PPR format, I think that Sutton's a pretty safe pick here. Then moving on to number 3 for our studs. This is a guy who I think he was either on it last week or 2 weeks ago. Hasn't had the best season, but has also been sacked over 20 times, and that is Kyler Murray. Obviously coming away with their first win against the Bengals last week, but he really didn't do so well. But going against the Atlanta Falcons, maybe the Falcons can actually win this game, but Atlanta right now is 20th in pass defense. So if you're kind of like in a rut and you have someone on bye and you're like, hey, I really need a quarterback and no one's touched Kyler Murray, I mean, I think he's a pretty safe bet. You also get the rushing yards from him too. So I would roll with Kyler Murray this week and feel pretty safe about it. Then moving on to our sleeper, coming back from surgery. Last week he did very well against the Green Bay Packers, and I figure he's going to have another good game. But, there's always is he going to be able to do well? And that's Michael Gallup from the Cowboys. Obviously did well against the Packers, going against the Jets this week, who, again, also cannot win to save their lives. And I think he's a pretty safe bet, but it always concerns me with guys coming back from, an absence, especially something like surgery. But I was actually going to switch him and Kyler Murray this week. I think he should still be a safe bet for you, and a lot of times he's on the waiver wire. I was actually able to pick him up in a couple of my leagues, so I would go for Michael Gallup if you're desperate for a flex. Then moving on to our duds of the week, the guys that you shouldn't be starting. Let's start off with Thursday Night Football, and that is Daniel Jones, the quarterback for the Giants. And the reason being is because he has no Saquon Barkley, no Shepard, no Ingram, and also no Gallman. He has 0 weapons left. I really don't know who he's going to give the ball to. And on top of that, he's going against the New England Patriot defense who eats people alive. So while the Giants have usually been the Patriots' kryptonite, I think the Giants are going to implode just like Krypton on Thursday night. Then moving on to number 2, it's a tale of 2 New York City quarterbacks, and that's Sam Darnold. Now, Sam Darnold, first game back from mononucleosis after contracting it at kissing camp. And so he's going to go against Dallas. Now, Dallas is obviously going to come out swinging after losing 2 straight. I think Dallas will do pretty good this week. And also, considering it is his first week back, I think he's going to heavily rely on guys like Le'Veon Bell. So I would be cautious if you are going to start Sam Darnold. And then the third and final dud of the week. This one, he's been doing real well ever since playing the Packers a couple weeks ago, and that is Jordan Howard, the running back for the Eagles. And I was contemplating putting him on this list or not, but the biggest concern that I have is even though he's been doing great for 3 weeks, he's been going against defenses like the Packers who didn't have a great run defense or plan to stop him. And I feel like with the Vikings defense, like they're still pretty damn good. While their offense is pretty terrible, their defense is able to stop the run. And so I think that Jordan Howard is going to have a tough time on Sunday. And so I'd be really, really cautious with starting him or Miles Sanders, to be completely honest. Yeah, that's what I got for the fantasy studs and duds this week. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think, Tom, I'm going to start Jordan Howard. I don't care what you say. I don't care if it against the Vikings defense and it gets me no points. And then I'm going to come back on these comments and I'm going to yell at you. Rightfully so. How are you doing in your fantasy leagues? Hopefully much better than I'm doing in some of my other ones. Let me know what you think down below. You could always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course on YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the Patreon members over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. But thank you so much for watching. We'll have predictions out later today. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.